So today is one of our last few lessons, and it's on applying the quadratic formula. You first learned it by yourself yesterday. So if you didn't for whatever reason, you know where to find the lessons. You know where to find the recordings. I hope that you're actually trying them with the method that they say, because I've tried to tell you a million times, you cannot just type it into Desmos on the test and expect to get right answers. Because the questions on the test are not what are the solutions. They are something else entirely. Not even something we could like use AI with if you wanted to try and use. So I'm trying to prepare you. I try to tell you like what the test questions will be like. Usually finding a mistake, saying what the next correct step is based on how they are solving it. So with the quadratic formula being like the most straightforward method, Gavin, close it. It's honestly so annoying how you guys just like rush. Like I will give you more work to do. All you have to do is listen to me. So for quadratic formula, close it all the way. What is the first step? What do you need to make sure before you try to do anything else? Make sure it's set equal to 0 and what else? Because I could have something like this set equal to 0, but that's not for solving by quadratic formula. So what else? It needs to be set equal to 0 and what? Center? Okay, good. And then what do you do? After you make sure it's set equal to 0 in standard form, what do you do after that? Identify your A, B, and C. I would not recommend just trying to glance at the equation each time without actually pulling it out and putting that A is this, that B is this, that C is that. Because that's you're more likely to make mistakes every time you're having to go back and look at it. Even when we were doing it in class today, people were telling me incorrectly what A, B, and C are. So here's a random example. Table 1, what's my A? Table 2, what's my B? And table 4, what's my C? Right? If there's a negative in front of it, you have to include it. Include the sign that's in front of each term. If there's no sign there, we're assuming that it's positive. So you identify your A, B, and C, and then what do you do? Plug it into the equation, and it's an equation that you don't have to memorize. You can Google quadratic formula, and all you have to do is plug it in exactly how it looks. I would not try to skip any steps there. So negative b, it would be -3 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. Like I don't try to do anything in there to skip a step. I'm sure you guys know what 2 times -2 is, don't you? Right? But I wouldn't put that in this first step. I would start condensing things in the next one. So then step 4 would be to simplify and make sure to solve for both cases. So simplify and solve for both cases. So then plus or minus the discriminant, what's under the square root symbol, I would always put in the calculator. I'm going to do it in my handheld calculator. But hopefully you guys know and were able to watch earlier today, you have to use parentheses or it will tell you the wrong answer. All right, and when I do that, I get 57. Is 57 a perfect square? It's not. I think it's also prime. I can't think of any numbers that multiply to 57. So if I were having to simplify the radical, I think this is already simplified. And this is the most simplified it'll get. You guys yesterday had a maze to do. I haven't even looked at them because honestly, I'm anticipating them not being the way I asked for them because for some reason following directions is really hard for you guys. So if you know that you did not show work, then you should probably go get it from the bin and redo it with the work shown. If you forgot your scratch paper at home, we'll then start over. I don't care. You need to know how to do it by this method, not by any other method, by this one. And the minimum scratch work that I would see is you first plugging it in and then condensing it. I can understand how the rest you could probably figure out which one has the right radical, but I mean, I shouldn't see just this first part. I should see you at least trying to simplify it. As I did. I did the maze myself and I showed parts where I could show as minimal work as possible and it was still quite a lot. I still needed an. So make sure that that's done because when it does hit the grade book, it will either make your grade good or bad. And yeah, any questions? Okay. And so that's number 6 on today's, and we're selecting all that are equivalent to this. So if it's equivalent, I should be able to manipulate it into this. So in each one, I would look at what's different from the original. So like the first one has it set equal to 0. So let's try setting our original equal to 0. How do I make the right side become 0? Subtract whatever you do on one side. So if I was doing that, it would become 81x squared plus 180x. What's negative 200 minus 100? Negative 300. So that does not match the first one. Let's see if it matches any other. Okay, nope. So that's all I have so far. Like that, it's not the first one. For this one, comparing it to my original, it looks like they have it equal to 200 instead. So how can I make the right side become 200? Adding how much? And whatever you do on one side of the equal sign. So C is doing it that way would make it that. So for that, I would get 81x squared plus 180x. What's a negative 200 plus 100? Close, it'd be negative 100 because you put someone 200, but you put in 100. So on the right side, it would equal 200. So that is not this. So now we're down to this next one. How could I make my right side of the original become 400? What could I do? Let's try that. What are you doing on one side? So then when I do that, I get 81x squared plus 180x. What's negative 200 plus 300? Positive 100. And then the right side would then become 400. You can do whatever you want as long as you do it with both sides. That's what I did. And this does match this option. Now for the rest, it does look kind of funky with the way that they have it written. So first, let's look at the one that's set equal to 0. I'm going to kind of skip this one. Or actually, maybe we can put it in. what I would do is, because there's probably a few ways you could do it. I kind of don't want to factor because that's just too much to do. What I would want to do instead is see if when I multiply this, if I get that. All right, so that's what I'm going to try. I'm going to do 9x plus 10 times 9x plus 10. And multiply the first terms. So 9x times 9x is 81x squared. Outer terms, 9x times 10 is 90x. Inner terms, that's 90x. And my last terms, 100. Yeah. So that looks like it, once we combine these two. So I would pick that one. Let's see, I have one set equal to 0 here, so I'm gonna see, actually already multiplied that out, and that is not the same as this, so I'm not gonna pick that one. Now I'm gonna multiply this out, and I don't have any of them set equal to 10, so let me try. If I want to make 0 become 10, what could I do? You could add 10, so that's what I'm going to do to this one. That is from a problem. And when I do that, this is what I get. It's kind of a weird problem, but it's not like it's bad at all. It's just about equivalent equations and stuff. So for this next one, if I can get this side to equal this, like if I multiply this out and I get that, then they will be equivalent. So let me try that now. And multiplying that out is 81x squared minus 90x minus 90x plus 100, which is not this. I'm not going to do that one. And then if I adjust this one to equal 20, so I would have to add 20 on both sides. I know it's a lot of work. That would become 20. This would become negative 280. Everything else. And if I multiply this out, which I already did, it's not the same thing. So I'm only getting that those two are the answers. So let me see if that's right on the keys. And that is right. So that's how you do it algebraically. What you probably could do also is set every single one of them equal to 0 and then see which ones give you the same graph. I wouldn't do like typing in the whole equation because then all you're going to see are lines. You want to see that it makes the exact same U shape, and you can only see the U shape if you type in, like, for example, this one that's set equal to 0. If you type that and it does those, you could see the U shape. And then if you set all the other ones equal to 0, just by moving it, see if it gives you the same U shape. That's the only other link. Questions on this one? Questions on other? Oh, Aiden. What next?
Question.
Okay, so identify the values of A, B, and C. And it says don't use fractions, instead multiply through to get rid of all denominators first. Interesting. So that's why. Sorry if I helped you on this one and I didn't see that part. So let me see. First, I'm going to move it to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 1/3 on each side to get it to equal 0 here. So I'm going to do. But to follow the directions of getting rid of the fractions by multiplying, I've asked you this like semester 1, it's just been a while. How can you make any fraction not a fraction anymore? No one knows. How can I make 4/5 a whole number? What can I do to it? Well, that would make it 1. if I just want it to be like without a denominator, what do fraction bars tell us to do? So what's opposite of dividing? So if I multiply by the denominator, that is how you make any fraction not a fraction anymore. But since it's an equation and I have two denominators, I don't want to just multiply all of this by just 5 because that would only get rid of this one. I don't want to just multiply it by 3 because I would only get rid of this one. What's their least common multiple? Anyone know what that is? Is there anything I can multiply it by that'll get rid of both denominators? Okay, you don't forget that. How about you just multiply it by 5 first, and then we'll multiply it. So multiply all of it by 5. That would make this first term 4x squared, the second term 15x. The third one, it would be negative 5 over 3. But we're not done because not all the denominators are gone. If I want to get rid of a denominator of 3, what do I multiply it by? So we'll do that next. Multiply everything by 3, which by the way, you would still multiply it by the 0. It's just that anything times 0 is 0. So I moved an extreme, but you are supposed to do it to everything. 3 times 4x squared would be 12x squared. 3 times 15x is 45x. And then this times this would just be 8. So what the answer should be is that A is 12, B is 45, and C is negative 5. Let's see the answers on this, and I'm right. Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. I'm not sure why that's on here, but let's see what it is. What I was asking you earlier to get rid of both, you multiply it by 15. Because 5 times 3 is 15. Or you do it once at a time. I can't see. Thank you. Any other questions? Gunnar? 5. Okay, so this one, solving with quadratic formula, it's already set equal to 0, so identify your A, B, and C's. Table 7, can you tell me what the A is? Good. Table 6, can you tell me what the B is? For this. B. It is what? Okay. Table 8, what's my C? So Gunnar McKenna, what's my C? 1. Okay. That's after setting it equal to 0. That's your first step. Just ensure we know what A, B, and C are. Next is plugging it into your quadratic formula, which you could easily look up, but I'll write it here as well. And anywhere that you are plugging in, you need to use parentheses. Do not try to combine anything in this step, just plug it in exactly how you see it. All over 2 times A, which is 2 times A. Okay, so me plugging everything in, negative 3 squared, and then 4AC over 2A. What happens to the negative 5? Comes positive, plus or minus. I'll put that in the calculator. Hopefully you know how to do that. I've done it a bunch today. I'm going to do it in my calculator, like my handheld one, but if you need help with that part, let me know. If you don't put the negative 5 in parentheses before squaring it, it will tell you the wrong answer. What should be under the square root is a 13. which is not a perfect square. And it also can't be reduced, like you can't simplify the radical any more than that. So this is what I have normally as my answer at this stage. The way they want you to type it is like this, which is equivalent. It's just like, I don't know, another way to look at it, I guess. So that would be 5/6 at first, and then where the square root is, 13/6. Questions on that one? Questions on others? Yeah, a lot of like weird random things in this one, but it's not bad. It's all stuff you're capable of doing. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. We'll use them.